Good afternoon, everyone who has joined us on our live event for the official launch of the SoCreative Hubs Summit 2020 magazine. Whoa!
Good afternoon, kings and queens. You're joining us live from the SoCreative Summit stage, right in the comfort of our homes.
First of all, I'd like to sincerely apologize for the slight delay in us allowing you into our space and into this very important event that we're celebrating. But I think before we do that, Rutendo, would you like to just give us a bit of a summary of what we have in store for today?
Sure. So today we're launching the SoCreative Hubs Summit magazine. But it's important for us to reflect on what it is that we are joining today together to celebrate, but most importantly, for those that were not part of the summit to understand what it was for, who it was for, and most importantly, what it is that we were defining as an ecosystem culture.
Wonderful. So if we're to look at that, first of all, we need to first encompass and give people who are joining us for the first time who came for the summit and what the stats are. So we had more than 10 countries represented. And for looking at it from a social media perspective, we had over 24,000 unique accounts that logged into the platform through our social media handles and over 113,000 impressions. I do believe that's a very big feat for a summit that was in its second year of inception.
Absolutely. And the theme for this year's summit was defining an ecosystem culture. So now that sounds like a lot. So it's important for people to understand that who was the summit created for? The first group of people were the creative entrepreneurs. And by definition, a creative entrepreneur is somebody working in the creative sector who is able to demonstrate business success in the classic terms of business growth, which encompass the following: profit, market share, employees, and or in terms of his or her reputation, which encompasses creativity, quality, and aesthetic amongst their peers. The second group were the social enterprises, and these are businesses that are changing the world for better. They are hubs also, which are spaces that nurture young entrepreneurs and or their enterprises in the early stages of conception.
Thank you, Rutendo. And I think now we'll just go very briefly into what the overarching theme for the summit was, which was defining an ecosystem culture. So if we're looking at that and somebody who's joined us for the first time, you might be wondering what on earth is an ecosystem culture? So if we're looking at an ecosystem culture, we're looking at the concept of what brings the various professional sectors of both the social and creative enterprises into one space and contextualizing it in the sub-Saharan African context and bringing them together under a unified theme that was supported by 6 key pillars. But for today, we're only going to outline 3 key pillars that were covered during the summit that included shared values, community connectedness, and resilience.
Thank you, Marshall. And last week, Friday, for those of you that missed, we had our first conversation focusing on one of these pillars, which is shared values. During the summit, we had different keynote addresses, and last week's conversation was focused on shared values. And we were joined by Lady Chawe from Bulawayo and Dineo Mkwe Zalamba from Malawi, talking about their experiences since COVID-19 started, but also just leveraging on the knowledge that was shared throughout the SoCreative Hubs Summit.
Wonderful. So I think now we have managed to bring everybody up to speed in terms of what the summit was about, who it was for, and what the theme was. But today we are celebrating the launch of the SoCreative Hubs Summit magazine. And we would like to call upon our sponsors to give us some opening remarks. And to that end, I'd like to welcome our first sponsor, who is from Zimbabwe German Society, the director of the Zimbabwe German Society. And ladies and gentlemen, may you please put your hands together for Taremeredzwa Tichirewa Nengare. Hello, Tari. All right, perhaps we're having technical connectivity challenges with Tare.
And while we wait for her to connect, we'd like to call upon British Council Program and Partnership Manager, Queen Farai Ngube Tarbire, to give us some remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause.
Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. It's really good to reconnect after we met physically in Harare, March 2020. And this summit then marked the closing down globally of most countries. Yeah. Yes. But today I'm so excited and joining our partners, Stimulus and Zimbabwe German Society, as we launch the SoCreative magazine, which is going to take us through a journey from the past where we're together, and we're going to reflect, we're going to be so emotional, we're going to see faces in the magazine, some of the stories, some of the presentations that were done during the summit. Mm-hmm. I'm so delighted that we can all do this together on Facebook and also on the Zoom live. And it has really been a good journey. From the British Council, we are committed within our creative economy work, working specifically in Southern Africa, where I'm based. And the work that we do is part of our creative economy program, which is also shown in the SoCreative Summit, which is one of our big platforms. And in the second year of running, is around building communities and connections within the ecosystem, bringing together creative and social entrepreneurs and hubs to better understand each other's cultures and values, and to build respect within those different cultures and values which are within the ecosystem. Also, it is looking at how can we create sustainable livelihoods that can enhance the lives of the creative entrepreneurs, the social entrepreneurs, our different economies in Southern Africa and the UK and Sub-Saharan Africa. And importantly is also to build in the component of storytelling. How do we tell our own stories, our own narratives, which we can share with so much pride, and better to understand each other in the UK, in Sub-Saharan Africa and Southern Africa. So from British Council, this is part of our cultural relations work. It is part of what we do within creative economy. And I am so happy to be able to join the official launch of the magazine. I would like to say thank you so much to our partner, Stimulus Africa, who held the summit this year's edition, which grew into the whole of Sub-Saharan Africa with more than 10 countries, and also bringing in our partners from the UK. So thank you so much and enjoy the launch.
Wonderful, ladies and gentlemen, louder. Your pom-poms need to be heard.
Fantastic, thank you so much, Queen Farai. And joining us from the Zimbabwe German Society is Director Queen Taremedzwa Chirewa Nengare. Queen, welcome to the SoCreative Hubs Summit magazine launch. It's such a blessing to have you with us today.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Tareme Redzwa Takozwa Chirewa. I'm the director of ZGS, like Queen Rutendo just said. For us, the ZGS is committed to supporting and promoting the CCI's creative industries, which was a big driver in the decision to invest in SoCreative 2020. 2020 took a trajectory, my apologies. 2020 took a trajectory we could not have imagined after the summit, with the global pandemic, which has had a huge impact on the industries and indeed the entire world, as we all know. And for us, we have been tremendously affected by the pandemic, and we've had to work a lot harder and a lot more really differently and in a different perspective than we did in the past. So this is something that's really exciting, the fact that we can launch the magazine today. It's sort of a light at the end of the tunnel, a wrapping up of what was before. And, just a reminder in this new normal that we're in of where we were and what could happen, like if you start thinking about it from a different perspective. Over the last few months, we have been developing a digital strategy in response to the new normal we find ourselves in. With this, we have determined that our key focus area for 2021 will be supporting and promoting digital collaborations driven by the creatives. and the culture industries. With this, we have determined that our key focus area for, we are going, sorry, gosh, I'm working from home, so my kids just walked in and started making noise. Apologies. So my train of thought completely went out there, out of my head.
No,
but working in partnership with Stimulus, we'll be launching our 2021 program next month, as of Monday, actually, in November, with an open call. So please do connect with us and share with us your existing projects or ideas for collaboration. We're looking forward to working with and supporting you as we embrace this new digital collaboration aspect and this new normal. So you could look at it as maybe a continuation or a build-up from SoCreative, and from all the networking and partnerships you made through the summit. And hopefully, we could make some magic and do something fun. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Queen. And like you rightfully said, to create some magic, that's one of the shared values that we established during SoCreative Summit. So we look forward to seeing how best we'll be able to collaborate throughout the world. And most importantly, share those rich stories about Africa and the kings and queens from this continent. Just a quick word for all of our participants that are joining us on today's launch, that if you've got any testimonials that you would like to share, please could you type them in our chat box, or just raise your hand. And when we get to our testimonials, we will give you an opportunity to share how the SoCreative Summit has impacted not only your business, but maybe the way you perceive not only yourself, but your contribution to the broader ecosystem.
Thank you so much, Rutendo, and to our sponsors from Zimbabwe German Society and from the British Council. We want to thank you so much for supporting the creative industry, not only for creatives and social enterprises in Zimbabwe, but across sub-Saharan Africa. And we want to thank you. And actually, I'm very excited on behalf of the creatives and social enterprises who are tuning in today to say that there is life within this chaos that we're experiencing in the world, where we're trying to navigate and find our feet. And it's very encouraging to know that in 2021, you're still going to be pushing something digitally going forward. So to know, maybe with the program, who else is next then as we introduce going forward?
So I would like to call upon our first panelist, for lack of a better word,
yes.
To give us just an overview around what it was that it took to get the incredible content that we shared throughout the SoCreative Summit. I think it's important before everybody has a look at the magazine to actually understand what was the process behind the theme for this year and why that was important. And I think, prophetic for where we are exactly as the world through what's changing. And I'd like to call upon Queen Rudo Nyangulu Mungofa, the Summit Director representing Stimulus Africa. Queen?
Let's give her a round of applause. Yay.
Thank you. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Marshall. Yeah, it's actually crazy to think where we've come from and where we are now in light of COVID and there's so many changes that have happened globally, here in Zimbabwe, across the continent. And I think looking back, it really feels like the summit was, a God idea in terms of the theme and the direction in which it went, because we couldn't have scripted what came after it, very shortly after it. In fact, it was amazing that we actually even were able to have the summit. It's possible if we had put it back 1 week, we would have had to cancel, which is just, that in itself is mind-boggling. And but when we sat down anyway to think about, what are we going to talk about? Social entrepreneurs, creatives, what do they have in common? And then if you add hubs, it may not be obvious looking at the different people in the room, what they have in common. But Farai Mfunya said something really, that was really profound in our first content curation committee meeting. And he said that, social and creative entrepreneurs are doing the same thing, but coming from a different perspective. So the social entrepreneur is trying to impact and support the community through various things. We saw many people speak during the summit and share the different things they're doing. Fred from Mozambique with Emprego and trying to help people get jobs and so on. And the creative entrepreneurs, on the other hand, use their talent and their gifting to, again, speak to the challenges that we face, but in a way that they seek to inspire and support and bring healing through art. So both social and creative entrepreneurs are focused on people and trying to impact people, touch lives, but just in different ways. So when we thought about that, we thought, well, then there must be a lot that there are so many dots that connect that maybe we don't often connect, which make up this ecosystem. And an ecosystem is, like any grouping, has a culture. And that's the train of thought that we went through, and then trying to explore now, well, what is the culture that we, whether we deliberately set to put it forward or we just sort of go through life and allow it to happen, we will have a culture, we will have values or a value system. There will be a way in which we engage and operate with one another. So being able to think about it and be more deliberate in how we conduct ourselves, how we consider the next person, is really the inspiration that we had going into the summit. And I think taking that as an idea, with the content committee coming in to help us refine that, then through the concept note that Selena put together that then really articulated the vision, I think we actually arrived at the right place. So it was really exciting to see the idea, the thought come alive over those 4 days.
Absolutely special, Rudo. Thank you very much. And if we were to, I think, to speak on behalf of those who attended the summit, bringing what was on paper in a concept note to life really was something that was beyond many people's expectations. I do believe that with the connections that were made, with the collaborations that were then made after the summit, it is testimony to what you have done. And maybe now I'll introduce the second panelist, who is the editor of the SoCreative magazine, Selena Zigomo. Ladies and gentlemen, please give Selena a round of applause. Yay! Shine, shine, shine bright. Hi, Selena.
Thank you, Marshall. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here today.
Wonderful. So Selena, maybe if you could just give an overview of the process that was involved in the creation of the magazine, and what you would like to impart to not only those who are present with us in this meeting, but those who are also going to connect with us on Facebook and around the world.
Well, I think that the magazine was an easier task than putting the summit together, because the magazine was telling the story of what had already happened. Right. So I think when you tell a story of something that's happened in real life, there's not much imagining that needs to happen. It's more about rendering the events and the emotions that took place during that time as accurately as possible. So you just follow the path, you follow the evidence, the photos, the videos, the records that you've put on social media posts about how you felt during the process. And I think both Rudo, myself, and even yourselves, Marshall and Rutendo, we had a unique perspective of the summit, being that we were participating in the two summits that happened, the one behind the scenes, where you've got all of the expectations of what you want it to be, and then you yield to what it then becomes. And then also the summit in terms of the participant. I think all four of us and everybody else on the team had moments where we, as creatives ourselves, engaged with the content on that level. So there were two summits that we went through. So I think that was really what we were then drawing on in terms of now charting the path that we had traveled, a way that we had made that had not been made before, and then putting that to paper and selecting the details that would do the best justice and serve that message best. Because of course you can't put everything on paper. So that was the process. So, you know, we went through transcribing, we went through cutting down a lot of the talks that were done into bullet point sort of summaries and highlights. You know, we then went through social media and, you know, checked through our hashtags during the conference and recorded what people said as well, because, you know, I think the putting together a summit or any kind of piece of work is almost is like having a child. You go through a pregnancy, you go through a conception, you nurture this life, and you have all this hope, and then it enters the world and it starts to have this incredible life beyond you. It takes itself back, and so the magazine is trying to also reflect that. So you'll see a lot of what people experienced in their words, which I think is one of the benefits of social media, together with the actual record of what happened. And what we're hoping is that it will, you know, because we've published it, we've also gone through the effort of giving it an ISBN. It's got a unique identity number that's internationally recognized, that it will, you know, set up the next conversation around SoCreative for success, because there'll be a record of what we've done. So, and when I say what we've done, all, not just the partners, not just the organizing committee, but the people that attended as well, because it wouldn't have come to life without those 200 delegates from all over Southern Africa.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Celine. And I think I'd like to then pose a question to both of you with regards to your selection for those who gave keynote addresses and story talks, as well as practical workshops. What was your thought process in your selection of these individuals?
Well, I mean, in our thought process, going back to something Rudo mentioned earlier, what's common between social entrepreneurs, creative entrepreneurs, and hubs? And I think one of them is that there is a strong, if we look demographically, it's a strong youth sector, right? So that's very exciting, because when we look at the continent, who's growing the fastest? It's young people. So that it's a really stunning picture of the future. The other thing I think that brings these people in common in terms of how they go about doing their business is that they reimagine who we are. So a creative reimagine the identity and the culture of a specific time and space and the people. I think social entrepreneurs also reimagine who we are through the lens of solving particular problems and trying to determine or create outcomes that have really big social impact. And hubs also do that by connecting you know, various people across these segments together to do the same thing. So there's a strong element of reimagining. So we curated the speakers thinking about that. Young people in Africa, people with great imaginary vision and creativity across the board, and people that we thought also could give us pictures in terms of who they were and how they did what they did, of the Africa that can inspire us all to have more hope, and the Africa that we all know and love. So that's really, those are the sparks that ignited and inspired us. And that's what we checked in terms of now going through the process of doing the searches, sitting with the content committee, you know, tapping into people's networks, looking at the research that's been done by people like British Council Southern Africa Arts and other organizations. And we used all of that to then kind of be our baseline and be like, okay, so who are these voices? What do these people look like? What do they sound like? And that's how it came together. So, I mean, like I said, we had one vision going in, but you know, coming out of it, it exceeded our expectations.
Wonderful.
What I would add to that is definitely being able, something that was very important to us was to be able to have a voice from every one of the Southern African countries that are part of the Southern African Arts Cluster that British Council has set up, which covers most countries. And being able to, and that wasn't easy. It would have been easier to pick 15 Zimbabweans.
Yes.
Or 10 Zimbabweans and 5 others for color.
Right.
that commitment to saying every voice from every country must be given a voice. If we're going to be an ecosystem, respect each other, then we need to hear from each other. We need to be able to listen to each other and learn from one another and be able to then, you know, evolve from that space. So it was, for us, it was fundamental. It was really an important starting point to say we must have a voice from every country. And something that I'd like to highlight as well, as much as we were looking at the youth demographic, as Selena mentioned, something that was also really, really important is, and something that is really important for us as Africans, I feel, is that we can't and shouldn't rather discard our past, where we're coming from, and our culture, people, to embrace a foreign mindset or a foreign thought. And so having you know, voices like Farai Mfunya's in that conversation for me was, I mean, for me, he is eternally young, but also brought that that visionary and, you know, retrospective voice that was necessary. And his opening night address really set the scene. We went back, we figured out where we were, and that it enabled us to chart the way forward for the rest of the summit. And we must continue to do that, having intergenerational conversations that enable us to take the best of our past and, you know, build on that, carry that forward into the future. So that was also really important.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to both of you, Creeds. Just to touch back on what both of you said, the importance of looking back. And I remember when King Farai was talking, he spoke in different proverbs. And there's a strong proverb which says, "Natsa kwawava kwaunenda usiku," which means you need to look back. You need to know where you've come from in order to be aligned with where you're going. And, you know, throughout COVID, a lot of us have had to kind of been forced to reflect on the things that matter, and to perhaps reprioritize the things that we need to be mindful of moving forward. That being said, I know we've spoken about the different things we've learned from an ecosystem perspective. Maybe you could share from both of you moving forward in line with the new quote unquote normal. What are some of the things that we need to be mindful of given the changes that the world has experienced with COVID-19?
Well, I think one of the things that we need to be mindful of is that in all aspects of keeping ourselves safe to get through the moment that is COVID, the issue is physical distancing, not necessarily social distancing. I think, you know, you must, so, you know, I'm sitting behind her, we're keeping a safe distance.
Sure.
You know, we've done the sanitizing and all of those things. But our social connection more than ever needs to be brought together. So I found the fact that one of our themes was community connectedness very interesting, and also the link to digital communication, how it can further tighten and strengthen the networks that are already there. So I think what we must not lose is the aspect of our togetherness and our connection, even with us being physically apart, to preserve that very same connection. So I think that the social is very, very important. And then I think the other aspect I think that's very important is just the allowing ourselves the space to be and to do.
Sure.
And so one of the things that we did at the summit was we spent a lot of time being and doing in the afternoons. It wasn't all talking heads.
Yes.
And it wasn't all you know, debate and discussion. You know, so Antonella's workshop was a very strong space we created to be and to do. Keaton's workshop was another space where we were being and doing, and Stacey and Irene's workshop was the same. Even the fringe events in the evening, all those amazing people, Wadzi, Josh, the whole crew, it was spaces for us to be and to do. And I think that's one of, personally, the things that I've gained in terms of having to disconnect from the busyness of just filling up time with so many things to be and to do.
And I don't think there's a coincidence in the fact that the summit preceded that for all of us, to remind us that we are at our best when we give our lives the room and the breath and the space to be who we are and to do what makes us who we are. Absolutely.
Wow.
What I would add to that perhaps would be looking forward. Definitely reinvention is something that I think is really important. I think many of us sort of during the April, for Zimbabwe anyway, we had a lockdown in April. And during that time, most of us thought, okay, well, in May, we'll go back to business as usual.
Yes.
And now October, and things are still not back to normal, quote unquote. So, but in that time, certainly I can speak for myself and for Stimulus, we've had to actually introspect and take stock and look back at the last 9 years and say, okay, this is what we've been doing. This is where we've come from. But things have changed, you know, and in some ways, many things are permanently different. How are we going to adapt? Because there's that saying, adapt or die. And for creative sector, that it couldn't be more true. I mean, we've not been able to have events until maybe in the last sort of few weeks. There have been no events, no performance spaces, which has, for many creatives, hindered cash flow, hindered the opportunity to express themselves, the opportunity to do what they do and what they do well. Communities are fragmented now, and as social and creative entrepreneurs, we need to start thinking about how do we reinvent ourselves? How do we adapt? How do we pivot and move forward and maintain the heart and the soul of who we are and what we do, but be able to do it in a way that speaks to the context of the day and in a way that still allows us to have impact. And, you know, and the simplest approach obviously is looking to digital to say, how do we, rather than being consumed by digital, how do we bring digital on board as a tool to help us pivot, to help us continue with our mission, with our mandate? How do we enable it to allow us to continue to be, you know, who we are and what we are to the people that we speak to the communities that we serve? And that's a very important conversation. The other thing that I would point at moving forward is collaboration. You know, if you look at, you know, simple examples, we've had conversations with entrepreneurs who sell products, and they're like, oh, okay, well, because of the situation, I've had to collaborate with perhaps a delivery service so that those customers who come to my door can still get my product. And so we're now thinking differently, and there's more, you know, online shopping and home delivery than we would have ever thought of doing previously. So whilst the change was abrupt and whilst the change was devastating in many ways, it also has created an opportunity for us to collaborate, for us to reinvent ourselves, for us to look forward and take the best of ourselves and utilize the tools that are available to us to be able to adapt and to become greater and better in the future. So those would be my sort of two points going forward.
Wow. Hey, guys, I am sure that we could take this on and on, because the nuggets of wisdom and the quotes that we're going to be taking from your revelation, I'm telling you, Queens, you have nailed it. And I do know that those who are present are going to take what you've said to heart and to spirit, and to move forward with tenacity and with like more resilience and drive to make an indelible mark in the creative and social enterprise space. Ladies and gentlemen, may we please give Queens, Ruda and Selena, a round of applause. Yay!
Excellent. Now, moving right along, we are going to have a word from our delegates, and a reminder to any of you who are joining us for this live launch, if you have any testimonials around your experience at the SoCreative Summit, or some of the things that you learned, please can you utilize the chat box, and we will give you an opportunity to share. right after this video.
These guys have managed to put together such a great perspective towards storytelling by Africans and for Africans. I love the bit where the MC said that storytelling for Africa is not about the past and it's not about the future, it's about now. We need to rise now as Africans and tell our story the way it is and the way we see it. Just can't wait.
Hi, my name is Jessica Mangisa. I'm from Mozambique and I help creatives start businesses. Coming to Zimbabwe for this experience, it was just very unknown, actually. I was just waiting to meet creatives, people in different areas, but I wasn't expecting to get out of here feeling more African, because they made me feel resilient. They made me feel capable, because living out of creativity in Africa, it's a challenge. And they showed me how are they making these challenges, transforming challenges into opportunities. So I gained more than I could ever give. So I'm very happy that I'm here. I'm sad that I have to leave. I wish we could go on for a week. But the network we've built, the connections we made, I believe they will last forever.
My name is Maimuna from Sudan. So my experience in SoCreative Summit was amazing, was lit. Like a big network through South African. Right now I can say like I'm from Africa, not from Sudan. You know, I feel like I got home in every country, because I know people from every country. I got friends, I got sisters and brothers, and lots of inspiration. I feel like I have to go do some work. We need to change the world. Yeah, we got the energy that we can change the world through the summit, you know, through the things that we learned, the workshop that we did. It was lit. That's it.
It was beautiful.
Wow. Wow. Just incredible testimonials that we've just seen and shared.
Yes.
And I believe that we've also received another testimonial from someone who is with us today. Would you like to read that?
Thank you very much, Lekodi. And it says, hi, I attended the summit. I really enjoyed a series of conversations that were on mental health. One was with Dineo, and the other was part of the breakaway sessions. It inspired me to look into mental health problems that face youth. I started an initiative that is looking at mental health stigma and using art to address it. To this day, it's had one live event on Facebook, a community-based initiative, and is growing. So congratulations on that, Lekodi.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rutendo. And if there's anyone who's got anything to share, we're just going to have a minute just to open up the floor. If you can raise your hand, and we'll just see if there's any other comment or anybody who'd like to share their words before we then move on to the next item on our agenda.
Whilst people are deciding whether or not they want to speak, could I put Farai on the spot, seeing as he's in the call, to just say a few words? Is that okay, Farai?
King Farai?
I think I'm muted there. Hi everyone.
Hi.
I was just wondering which Farai there, because there's always the more beautiful looking and smarter Farai from the British Council.
Well, lucky for you to go first.
Thank you for inviting me again, and thank you for doing what you are doing. I can only say that I was in another meeting and joined a little bit late, but I also have been participating this week in an online festival called the Artist Gathering, just running online in Zimbabwe. And one of the things that was on one of the webinars before I actually went to a live event with a few people at Africara Trust premises is the issue of the changing world of culture. And one of the, I think, areas that was raised is how is culture going to be consumed post-COVID and the digital environment. And I think the issue of reimagining ourselves, reimagining culture, reimagining our organizations, and reimagining enterprise is topical. And there are very few initiatives that have got a deliberate strategy or looking at building ecosystems of like-minded people who would pivot some of the new imaginaries so that young Africans especially are able to position themselves in a changed world. Came up yesterday. So while the webinar and then the performance last night was looking at a new kind of consumption and presentation of culture, it was also flagging what is going to be different in other spheres of life. So I would, encourage you to carry on and commend you for what you have done or what you're doing, because it's so important, especially when we are looking at the resurgence of Africa on the global stage or arena. I think the challenge that we have as Africans, again, is how to assert ourselves and establish enough of a comparative advantage in order for us to compete globally. There is, in my view, absolutely no way you can do it unless you have a refinding of yourself as far as your culture and your philosophical approach to life is concerned.
Yes.
And so the SoCreative Summit allowed, I think, the thinking and the imagining along those dimensions. And so I'm looking forward to what you're creating, which is a continuation of those ideas and spaces for imagining the new possibilities. And it's not going to be easy because all the nations of the world are not sitting back and all the continents and races of the world are not sitting back for us to catch up with them. Therefore, you are absolutely, right in there in terms of pivoting African imaginaries for the future. I think that's what I can say.
Oh, King Farai, thank you so much for coming up to and rising up to the plate after being put on the spot by Rudo, but you executed that very well. Thank you so much for those thoughts for us to take away. And thank you once again, King.
Fantastic, thank you so much. And now we are finally at that time where we have gathered, and that is for the official launch of the SoCreative Hubs Summit 2020 magazine. As those of you, in case anybody was wondering, this is a digital launch today because we are online. And King Marshall's going to talk us through how you can download your copy of this issue.
All right, so allow me to share my screen and we will go through the process together. All right, so you should visit the website www.socreative.stimulusafrica.com, and as you get into the website, you will then be given the option to sign up to download the magazine. You'll click there. All right, and as you go in, we will then register accordingly. Sorry.
Ow.
So sorry. All right. All right. You'll fill in your necessary details. All right. Hey, long passwords. They're just too much for me. All right. And then you register. So there we go. Wonderful. So after I've received this success message, I will then be redirected accordingly, but I'll now go to my email.
Stop share.
Right. So as you have received with that registration, you should then be able to get a downloaded link of the magazine. Ladies and gentlemen, please, can you switch on your microphones because I need this to be loud. We have waited for this event and for this day. Ladies and gentlemen, we're so proud to officially launch the SoCreative Hubs Summit magazine for 2020. Whoa!
Yay!
Yes, yes, it is finally here. We have done it. The magazine is officially launched, and I'd have to say we're so happy with our cover boy, Marcus Zinawashe, who I believe really embodies and encapsulates what the summit was all about in terms of the energy and the spirit of both social and creative entrepreneurs. And we do believe that there is going to be an opportunity for you to look at yourself, to find yourself in the magazine, to find out what was shared with our keynote addresses and story talks. And most importantly, just to be reminded that we had a lot of fun before COVID started. All right.
So now that is for you to spend this weekend just going through and just reminding yourselves and others on the incredible stories and not just the potential, because we're realizing that potential as it is. And I would like to call upon British Council's project manager to give us our vote of thanks, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause for Queen Chipo Kanyumbu.
Wow. I think I'm actually I'm short of words at the moment. I can't stop smiling, you know, from ear to ear. Yeah, because I know the kind of journey that you guys have gone through, especially all of us. And you know, we have gone through something that we were all not prepared for. Especially with this COVID, which has happened. But somehow, I'm still amazed at how you managed to keep this going, you know, from the time that we finished the summit itself. From that time, I think we just spent maybe a week or so, and most of the countries went into lockdown. So I don't know, maybe you spent most of your time, you know, working on this thing, where others were very afraid, you know, not knowing what was coming, you know, because of the situation that we were in. Somehow you guys, your energy kept going and going. And I can see that from the colors that in this magazine. I can see it from the design, from everything that is just coming up, you know, to us, that I think you had another way of thinking, which was totally different from how everyone else around the globe were thinking at that time, because all of this work was done during lockdown. So I think it's a massive thank you to Stimulus and your team for this amazing piece of work that you've managed to bring out. We are so happy. I'm sure even, you know, with all the other participants who were not able to join us, and everyone else, when they see this, they will really see the testimonial of how there's always light at the end of the tunnel. You know, somehow when things are just in this dark place, something good is there and something good is working. So we want to thank you so much, you know, for all this effort that you put into this work. And I think you also helped us to kind of trailblaze into this uncharted territory where we are now focusing more on the digital side of work. And I think you are really doing this is even for the creative sector to understand that you can do it slowly but surely. But I think the more you do it, the more progress you are going to make. So we just hope that, you know, everyone else who is on this call will be able to also realize that, you know, this journey, this digital journey has just started, and it has not just started for Stimulus, but for all of you as well. So please embrace it, you know, inform others, bring on, you know, your other networks as well, so that they understand that the digital era has finally caught up with Africa. So let's do this together. Let's walk the journeys, different journeys that you're going to be working on. Slowly but surely, all of us are going to combine our efforts, and something great is coming in the creative sector because of this. So it's a big and massive thank you from all the sponsors, including Zimbabwe German Society, Liquid Telecoms as well, British Council. We want to thank you, all of you, including the participants, for just sharing these emotions and these joys, you know, which we're not able to see through the magazine. And we're going to take this forward as we move on. So thank you so much from all of us.
Thank you so much. Let's just give a round of applause. Before we go and before we conclude for today, I think, you know, there is that phrase that says unsung heroes, and we do not want that to be the portion of a man whose patience goes beyond, I can't even explain it, you know, I think from Tono to English, but I cannot express it as fully in English as I can. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to put my brother Adrian Joe on the spot. Wow. Adrian, please, you're on this call. Can you please say a few words about what the process was like for you, and how you feel about seeing your body of work being on display, not only for this generation, but for generations to come, because this is a lasting imprint.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on this meeting. I really appreciate it. I just want to say that it was really great doing the graphic design on this magazine. For me, it was a great experience. I never designed a magazine before. Wow. So this was my first magazine to work on. So it was a really enlightening experience for me. I really learned a lot. It's like it was just, I was learning on the job, if you know what I mean. I was just learning as we go. I said, okay, fine. When the opportunity came for me to design the magazine, I said, yeah, okay. I've never done a magazine before, but I believe that I can do it. So I said yes. So I just want to thank Rudo and McLeod in Stimulus Africa for allowing me to work on this magazine, because it was a really great opportunity and I really enjoyed it. And I am so happy that this magazine is finally being launched and everybody can see all the work that we did in the past few months. So I just want to say thank you, and it's been great. It's been a great job, and I love you guys. Thank you very much.
Yes, yeah, that's a very moment.
And congratulations.
You know, Marshall.
Yes.
And Adrian, working on this publication through and on the summit through, but particularly we're developing this publication through lockdown, through personal tragedy, through all the different things that were going on in everybody's life. And being able to come through the other end, that's collaboration and that shared value system that was forged in that period was something very special for us. And you're an amazing team. And honestly, Adrian, congratulations. It's fantastic. We're so excited. And we can't wait to see what your next magazine is going to look like.
Yeah, it's going to look dope even more than this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe that this now concludes the official launch of the SoCreative Hubs Summit magazine for 2020. Would like to thank you so much for your time, for your contributions, but most importantly for your resilience in this season to come and support something that has been put together that is going to leave an indelible mark, not only for us as creators in Zimbabwe, but for those who took part in the creation of something great.
Yes, absolutely. And we wish you guys a great and safe weekend. And just to take from King Adrian's last words, he said, "I've never done a magazine before, but I believed I could do it." And I think that's the energy and the spirit of the brilliance of African people. And I think that's something that we can all take, not just from King Adrian, but from the SoCreative Hubs Summit 2020. It's been an absolute honor being your host. And don't forget to continue these conversations, not only on social media with the hashtag SoCreative2020, but it's important for us to be able to start having these important and sometimes uncomfortable conversations around tracing back who we are and what is it that we have, what is it that we are lacking or missing, that is probably going to be answers around how we move our continents and our families forward. So thank you very much. On behalf of both of us, God bless and goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.